Hello everyone. Today I'm doing an interesting project out in the welding shop. This is a grain trailer and this is one of the support beams. It's a 6-inch by 8-inch rectangular tube that supports the axle assembly in the back of the trailer. As you can see, it's badly worn out. They make them incredibly light duty. I don't know why they make it so light. So this is a common thing that I change in my welding shop. So today I want to show everyone how to go about doing it. The first thing I do, and I've already done it, is I've cleaned away a lot of the dirt. I like to get a lot of the dirt out of the way to start with, so that I'm not breathing all the dirt all through the project. I've been doing this kind of work for 40 years now, so I've breathed a lot of dirt in my day, and it really bothers me that all of the college people that have run up a big student loan debt, so many of the Democrats are saying, oh, we need to forgive them that debt. Well, I made the choice not to go to college. I've been working like a slave all my life, paying taxes. All the children who wanted to go to college borrowed money from me, the taxpayer, while I was slaving away. And now Bernie Sanders and these other fruitcake Democrats want to forgive them that debt. That makes no sense to a person who loaned them the money and has worked like a slave. They always said, go to college to make a lot of money. Well, isn't that a peculiar thing? They went to college to make a lot of money, and all I hear about is all the student loan debt they have. Well, that's their tough problem. Back to the project. You can see a lot of damage. So, the first step is to cut this old one out. So the thing you got to watch out for when you're cutting is there's all sorts of brake lines. Now brake lines are air lines. They're not very difficult to replace, but I prefer to cover them up with wet rags so that when I'm done I don't have to go now start changing air lines that I've burned out. So the back assembly, if you'll look, it's held up by that beam in the front. It's hooked to the back of the trailer here in the back. And so by cutting this member out, it should still stay safe. But I do put a jack here in the back to hold up, to try to replace the load bearing member that I have to cut out now. So now the way to cut this out and to work with it, I'm going to cut one chunk out here, a chunk out on the other side, and a couple chunks in the middle. It's a lot easier to take something out in littler pieces rather than one long piece. Once I get it cut out, then I'll clean it up good. I've noticed some of these support members are bad. I'll also have to cut them out. And then I will put the new member in, new gussets, and it's not that big of a job. It might look like it before you start, but once you've done a few of them, it's not that hard. Okay, as I mentioned, I'm going to cut this out in like 4 sections. I've got the first of the 4 sections cut. Now I'm going to get it pulled out. That was simple. Now I want to show you, this is the beam I cut out. This is the bottom. In other words, this member that's holding the trailer together was simply you might say, going for the ride. It wasn't helping too much carry the load. And I would say if you would inspect trailers going down the road, if you inspected closely, you'd find a whole lot of trailers that look just like this. Okay, now I'm going to go cut the other member the rest of the way out. I'll do that in at least 3 more chunks because it's nice and easy to handle in the small pieces. Okay, now that I've cut this section out, I got a little more room to work. Right here is where the member hooks in, and notice it was badly corroded. It's made out of 3/16 carbon steel, and it is riveted to this aluminum member. Now on both sides of a grain trailer, there's an aluminum member that runs from the back all the way to the front. This member and the one on the other side is the main beams of the whole trailer. Everything is built off of them. So I'll have to cut another piece of carbon steel and rivet it to the aluminum. Now I'm cutting out the second member, and you notice I cut a little window in it. That way I can reach my torch in and cut the bottom without having to cut upside down. Also, the bottom usually has 1 or 2 inches of dirt, so you're wasting your time trying to cut upside down. So you cut yourself a window, dig all the dirt out that I've been breathing for 39 years, and realizing that I had to work hard for a living, so I'm not at least been interested in giving my tax money to welfare. I'm not interested in giving my tax money to the people who want their student debt forgiven. You go get yourself a job if you got student debt. You got a college education, you're supposed to make a lot of money now. Yeah, it's a big deception. You want to go to college, you pay your own way. So now I'm going to finish cutting this member out, toss it out, then I'm halfway done. Okay, I've got the old member taken out, and the plate that bolts or rivets onto the aluminum was bad on both sides, so I'm going to have to replace that. And as you can see, the rust had eaten it away pretty much completely. The bottom completely rusted away. Definitely needed to replace this thing. Pretty bad rust. So it will be replaced with this member. Now if you look at this, this is 3 times stronger than original. Now why do I want to replace something that much stronger? Well, the reason is everything back on the back end of this trailer has suffered quite a bit of rust attrition, and the member I'm going to put in is going to be kind of like the pillar of strength in the back of the trailer to kind of help everything else, and the farmer should get several more years of use out of this trailer by putting a strong member into it. I've got the project finished. My camera girl had to go milk the cows, so I couldn't wait for her. I kept on going, so I'll just kind of quickly explain how you go about doing this. After you cut the old one out, you take the new beam with your forklift and you lower the forks down and slide it in and get it into place. Now these side plates, you leave them off until you get the beam into place, because this beam is so long and you kind of got to get it in at an angle and you pull it into the right place, and these side plates would make it impossible, so you do not put them onto the beam. You put the beam into the correct place, then you take the side plates and you tap them up and get them in there. Okay, once you get the beam in, then you make sure your distance from the main rails to the outside wall is the same on both sides. And then once you get the equal distance on this side and that side, then you take your gusset plates and you weld them in. There's a total of 8 of them. Then you put the side plates in, tack them, and remember, the side plate is made out of carbon steel and the trailer rail is made out of aluminum. Aluminum and steel do not really like each other. They cause a lot of corrosion. So before you rivet them together, you've got to clean it, bolt the aluminum real well, then you paint it, and then you paint the steel, then you put them together. Some people like to put duct tape in between the two, but since I was going to weld it, the duct tape would just melt, so I just put paint, a good coat of paint on both surfaces. I weld it, and then I rivet the holes with these heavy-duty huck bolts or rivets together. You can't use bolts, you have to have rivets in that location. And then once you're done with that, you have these welded. Of course, throughout the job, you got to be careful not to burn up any of your brake lines. And then you get that finished, and you want to put a nice coat of primer on your steel, and then the job is completed. So I hope this has been a help to anyone who ever has to face doing this. See you later.